Welcome to the Broken Bayonets channel, where imagination is the weapon, and every detail is a deliberate lie. You are standing in a muddy field somewhere in Western Germany. It is March 1945. The air is cold and carries the damp, earthy smell of a thaw that never quite arrives. In the distance, the low grey sky meets a horizon of skeletal trees. You can feel the thrum of a great and terrible machine just over that horizon, a deep, resonant vibration that travels through the soles of your boots and settles in your bones. This is the front line. Have you ever wondered if the past is really the past? Or if, in quiet moments, you can still hear the echoes of its silent deceptions? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you find the content useful. Share in the comments which ghost legions of WWII history you know, and which historical topics fascinate you the most. Now let's go back in time and walk in the footsteps of legend. The orders came down quietly, passed through the chain of command with a deliberate lack of fanfare. Your unit, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, is on the move again. The name is a masterpiece of bureaucratic camouflage, designed to be so bland, so utterly forgettable, that no one would ever ask what you actually do. You are not an infantryman, not a tanker, not an artilleryman. You are a performer, a con artist in uniform. And your stage is the most dangerous theater in the world. You've just arrived here, near the banks of the mighty Rhine River, the last great geographical barrier standing between the Allied armies and the heart of the Third Reich. Your mission is codenamed Operation Viersen. It is a lie of monumental proportions. You clamber out of the back of a canvas-topped truck, your boots sinking into the grasping mud. Around you, men are quietly unlashing equipment, their movements practiced and efficient. But the equipment is strange. There are no crates of ammunition, no heavy machine guns, no mortars. Instead, there are rolled-up canvases, canisters of compressed air, and spools of wire connected to massive, horn-shaped speakers.
Almost there.
This is the arsenal of the Ghost Army. Your task is to conjure two entire American divisions out of thin air, the 30th and the 79th Infantry Divisions. You are to create a phantom force of over 30,000 men, complete with tanks, artillery, and all the logistical support of a major offensive. You are to make this phantom force look, sound, and feel so real that the German High Command will fixate on you, shifting their precious reserves and sighting their powerful 80mm guns on this very spot. They will be preparing to meet a massive American assault across the Rhine, right here. The real assault, Operation Flashpoint, is planned for many miles to the north, near the town of Wesel. It will be conducted by the men of General William Simpson's 9th Army. He is the unseen director of this grand play, a man betting the lives of his soldiers on your ability to deceive. Every German artillery battery that trains its guns on your empty fields is a battery that cannot fire on the real crossing. Every panzer division that rumbles toward your position is a division that cannot counterattack the true invasion force. The weight of this responsibility settles on you more heavily than your pack. You are not here to take a hill or capture a town. You are here to draw fire, to be the ultimate decoy in a lethal game of misdirection. Your success will be measured not in territory gained, but in the lives saved miles away. You walk the perimeter of what will become your phantom staging area. The landscape is bleak and pockmarked from years of war. Farmhouses stand as hollowed-out shells, their timbers blackened by fire. The roads are little more than muddy tracks, carved by the endless columns of military traffic. It is a desolate canvas, but you are an artist. You see not just mud and ruins, but a stage waiting for its actors and its props. Your commanding officer, a man who was an architect in civilian life, is already studying maps, pointing out where the dummy artillery batteries will be placed for maximum visibility from the air. Another officer, a former sound engineer from a big radio network, is scouting locations for his speaker trucks, judging the acoustics of the valley. One of the surprising and highly classified facts about your unit is the sheer concentration of talent within its ranks. The average IQ in the 23rd is 119, a full 10 points higher than in the rest of the US Army. You serve alongside men who were recruited from art schools, advertising agencies, and engineering firms. They are painters, designers, actors, and acoustical engineers. They are men whose creativity is now weaponized. This intellectual pedigree is your greatest asset. While a conventional army relies on firepower, you rely on ingenuity. Your war is fought in the mind of the enemy. It is a subtle, cerebral conflict, a battle of wits played out with rubber, paint, and sound waves. Historians will later debate the precise impact of your deceptions, a testament to the ephemeral nature of your work. How do you quantify a battle that was never fought, an artillery barrage that fell on empty ground? The evidence of your success is an absence of casualties on a distant battlefield. As dusk begins to fall, the cold deepens. A chill wind sweeps across the plain, carrying with it the distant, rhythmic cough of artillery. You pull your collar tight, the sound a constant reminder of the reality that lies just beyond your elaborate illusion. You look around at your fellow soldiers. They are a strange collection of men, brought together for this unique purpose. You are a ghost, even to your own side. Other GIs you pass on the road eye your mismatched insignia and strange convoys with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. You can't tell them what you do. The secrecy is absolute. Your letters home are stripped of any detail, leaving your family to wonder what safe, rear echelon job you've landed. They could never imagine you were here, on the very edge of the fight, preparing to impersonate an army and lie to the entire German Wehrmacht. The question lingers in the twilight air, a silent counterpoint to the rumble of the guns. Will they believe it? The success of the largest amphibious assault since Normandy hangs on the answer. The first light of dawn is thin and watery, doing little to chase away the bone-deep chill of the German morning. The order to begin work comes not with a shout, but with a series of quiet nods. The symphony of deception begins not with a bang, but with a hiss. You and 3 other men unroll a heavy, olive-drab canvas onto the damp earth. It lies there like a deflated skin, a pathetic, shapeless mass smelling of rubber and oil-based paint. This limp canvas is destined to become an M4 Sherman tank, a 32-ton behemoth of American steel. Your primary weapon in this transformation is not a wrench or a blowtorch, but a gasoline-powered air compressor that sputters to life with a cough of blue smoke. You connect the hose to a valve on the canvas, and with a steady, pulsing rush of air, the creature begins to stir. It's a bizarre and almost grotesque process. First, the turret swells, rising from the flat ground like a monstrous boil. Then the chassis begins to take form, its lines firming up, the limp rubber skin stretching taut over a framework of inflatable tubes. In less than 20 minutes, where there was only mud and canvas, a tank now stands. It is perfect in its dimensions, a convincing silhouette against the grey sky. You walk around it, patting its flank. The rubber gives slightly under your hand, a cold and lifeless texture, that is nothing like real steel. But from a few hundred yards away, or from the belly of a reconnaissance plane, it is indistinguishable. This is the core of your magic trick. Someone back in a factory in the States figured out that a few pounds of rubber and a good paint job are far cheaper than a real tank,
This thing is heavier
especially
than
when
it
its
looks.
only purpose is to be a target. You can't help a small wry smile. Moving a real Sherman is a logistical nightmare, but you and your 3 companions can now pick this one up and carry it into position. But creating the shape is only the beginning.
Move it!
Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built layer by layer. Your work has only just begun. The tank looks too new, too clean. A real tank crew, living and fighting in their vehicle for weeks on end, would leave their mark. So you become a scenic artist. You grab a bucket of mud and begin to smear it over the rubber tracks, caking it into the crevices of the dummy road wheels. You and your team then use a specially designed roller to press tread marks into the ground, creating the illusion that this tank has just rumbled into its current firing position. You don't just place the object, you create its history, a brief and entirely fictional story written in the mud for German photo interpreters to read. Another team drapes camouflage netting over it, but they do it with a calculated sloppiness, just as a weary, cold crew might. Perfection is the enemy of authenticity. You are not alone. Across this sprawling empty valley, hundreds of your comrades are engaged in the same surreal work. The field transforms before your eyes. What was a collection of empty pastures at sunrise is by midday a bustling armor depot. Inflatable artillery pieces, the formidable 155mm long toms, are positioned in hollows, their long barrels pointing menacingly towards the Rhine. Dummy GMC trucks and jeeps are parked in neat rows, waiting to ferry phantom soldiers to a phantom front. You look upon your handiwork, a vast and silent army conjured from breath and ingenuity. It's a testament to the strange collection of men in your unit. You look over at a private, carefully painting a divisional marking onto a rubber jeep. In civilian life, he was Bill Blass, a budding fashion designer. Now, his eye for detail is being used to fool the Wehrmacht. It's one of the war's quiet ironies. The men who design the illusions are artists, not soldiers, and their battlefield is the enemy's perception. The constant gnawing anxiety throughout this process is the sky. You find yourself glancing upwards every few minutes, scanning the cloud cover for the telltale shape of a German reconnaissance plane. The Focke-Wulf WWII, known as the Uhu or Owl, is your most discerning critic. Its cameras will be your audience, and its pilots the judges of your performance. Historians will later argue about just how convincing these decoys were up close, whether high-altitude photography could truly be fooled by rubber and canvas. But in this moment, that debate is irrelevant. The German command structure, stretched thin and paranoid after years of Allied deception since D-Day, cannot afford to take the chance. They have to assume this massive buildup is real. The presence of 2 full infantry divisions massing for a crossing is a threat that must be countered, regardless of whether some intelligence officer harbors a sliver of doubt. You're not just fooling a pilot, you're exploiting the enemy's exhausted and overcautious bureaucracy. You hope the German photo analysts aren't art critics. Your life and the lives of the men in the 9th Army depend on a passing grade. As you work, you become aware of another layer of deception being prepared. From a wooded area a half-mile away, you hear the sudden deafening roar of a tank engine, followed by the clatter of treads and the shouted commands of a crew. The sound is rich and terrifyingly real. Then, just as suddenly, it cuts to silence. The sonic deception team is tuning their instruments. Your visual tableau is only one part of the illusion. Soon, this silent, hollow army will be given a voice, a ghost in the machine that will scream across the airwaves and echo through the valleys. The Germans will not only see you, they will hear you. The scale of the lie is breathtaking. You have built an army of ghosts, a meticulously crafted mirage of war. You have spent your day creating the perfect target, an elaborate bullseye painted on the earth. And soon, you will have to stand inside it. It's a strange sort of masterpiece, one whose ultimate success will be measured by how convincingly it can be destroyed. The sound begins as a low growl, an almost subliminal vibration that you feel more in your teeth than you hear with your ears. It's the sound of a Sherman tank idling, the distinctive chug of its Wright Continental engine, a sound you've come to know intimately. But there are no Shermans here, only your rubber decoys sitting cold and silent in the gloom. The source of the noise is a half-track parked under the cover of a skeletal copse of trees. Mounted in its bed is a speaker horn the size of a bathtub, pointing out across the valley. Inside the vehicle, a man with headphones pressed to his ears hunches over a complex array of turntables and wire recorders, his face illuminated by the faint green glow of vacuum tubes. He is a conductor, and his orchestra plays a symphony of war. This is the domain of the 3100th Signal Company Special, the sonic magicians of the Ghost Army. These are the men who give your phantom force its voice. They were recruited from the sound stages of Hollywood, the broadcast booths of NBC and CBS, and the acoustic research labs of companies like Bell Telephone. They are masters of an esoteric art form, and their medium is deception. The recordings they use were made with painstaking care months ago, thousands of miles away at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Engineers spent weeks capturing the precise sounds of an armored division on the move, of engineers building pontoon bridges under the cover of darkness, of artillery sections receiving firing orders. These high-fidelity recordings were shipped across the Atlantic in protected canisters, a library of lies waiting to be unleashed upon the enemy. It is a surprising, almost absurd detail of this war. The sounds that will soon echo across the Rhine were born in the rolling hills of America's heartland. The engineer in the truck makes a slight adjustment to a dial, and the soundscape swells. The single idling tank is joined by another, and then another. The sound of clanking treads and shouted commands is layered in. You close your eyes for a moment, and you can almost see them. A column of steel beasts emerging from the woods, their crews preparing for battle. The illusion is deeply unsettling in its perfection. The massive speakers, powered by their own generators, can project these sounds for up to 15 miles, the sound waves bouncing and echoing off the hills to create a sense of depth and movement. It is the world's deadliest radio drama, and the German army is the intended audience. You watch as another team runs wires to a smaller, more portable speaker and hides it in a ruined barn a few hundred yards away. They are creating a three-dimensional soundstage, ensuring that German sound-ranging equipment will pick up a dynamic and believable audio picture of a massive force, not just a single loud source. You can't help but smile grimly. You just have to hope the German equipment is good enough to be fooled, but not so good it can pinpoint the exact location of the speakers. But the auditory deception doesn't stop with brute force sound effects. An even more subtle and insidious game is being played in the invisible realm of the radio waves. You walk over to a different truck, this one bristling with antennas. Inside, a handful of men sit at radio sets, their fingers dancing over Morse code keys. They are not broadcasting battle orders or calling for supplies. They are creating chatter. These men are radio mimics. They have spent weeks studying the traffic patterns of the real 30th and 79th Divisions. They know their call signs, their schedules, and even the unique rhythmic style, the fist of individual operators. Now, they are impersonating them, tapping out strings of coded nonsense and mundane faked messages. They create the electronic ghost of two entire divisions, filling the ether with a web of convincing traffic for German listening posts to intercept. This is where the deception reaches a truly sophisticated level. It's one thing to make loud noises, it's another to perfectly impersonate the digital fingerprint of an entire military formation. Not exactly a deep fake video, but the Ghost Army's radio spoof has a similarly creepy effect on intelligence gathering.
It was a decoy?
The Germans aren't just hearing an army, their intelligence analysts are reading its mail. This raises a question that historians continue to puzzle over. How much did the Germans actually believe? Their intelligence services were not naive. They had been on the receiving end of Allied deception before, most notably during the massive Operation Fortitude that preceded the Normandy landings. Were they truly taken in by this elaborate performance, or was it simply another confusing piece of data in the overwhelming fog of war? The truth likely lies somewhere in the middle. The goal of the Ghost Army is not necessarily to create a lie that is 100% believable without question. The goal is to create a possibility that is too dangerous for the enemy to ignore. Faced with the visual evidence of an army massing, the sonic evidence of its movement, and the radio evidence of its command structure chattering away, what is a German general to do? Can he afford to assume it's a bluff when making the wrong bet means the collapse of his entire front line? You force him into a state of paralysis and miscalculation. You are not just fooling his senses. You are attacking his decision-making cycle. You are a weaponized doubt. The true genius of the plan lies in its multi-layered nature. If the reconnaissance photos seem slightly off, the sound of tank columns is there to reinforce the illusion. If the sounds seem directional, the widespread radio traffic suggests a dispersed and mobile force. Each layer of the lie supports the others, creating a cohesive and terrifyingly plausible whole. As night deepens, the performance continues. The sounds shift. Now it's the percussive clang of hammers on steel, the whine of machinery, the unmistakable audio signature of engineers working on bridging equipment down by the riverbank. It's a bold and provocative lie, broadcast directly into the enemy's ears. You stand in the darkness, a silent observer of this phantom orchestra, feeling the ground tremble with the sound of things that are not there. The air is thick with deception. You have built the set, and now you have given it a voice. The trap is laid. All that remains is to see if the enemy will take the bait. The cacophony of the previous night has faded, replaced by an unnerving, expectant silence. The sonic bombardment was the overture. Now comes the subtle, more personal performance. You are chosen for what the officers call special atmosphere. It's a deceptively gentle term for a mission that is equal parts espionage and street theater. Your task is no longer to build the illusion, but to inhabit it. You must now become a ghost in broad daylight. You are handed a new shoulder patch, that of the 79th Infantry Division, the Cross of Lorraine. Your own unit's insignia, the one you were issued and told to keep hidden, is tucked away. With a needle and thread, You clumsily tack the new patch onto your sleeve. It feels strange, a borrowed identity stitched over your own. Tomorrow, you might be told to rip it off and sew on the old hickory patch of the 30th Division. Your stage for the day is a Jeep. Its bumper has been freshly stenciled with the markings of a specific battalion from the 79th, a detail that a trained observer would note and report. You and 3 others, also wearing the borrowed patches, climb in. One of them, a lieutenant who was a stage actor in New York, has been cast in the role of a slightly drunk, overconfident major. He has even daubed a little grease on his uniform to complete the look. His performance is for an audience of one, a single, well-placed German agent who might be watching from a bombed-out church steeple or listening from behind the counter of a makeshift shop. Your job is to be his driver and part of his supporting cast. The attention to detail is astonishing. You are given a script of sorts, a list of conversational topics to touch upon, complaints about the mud, rumors about the upcoming big push, and casual mentions of your division's readiness. It's a carefully constructed narrative designed to be overheard. You drive out of your camouflaged encampment, leaving the silent, inflatable army behind. You pass a checkpoint manned by MPs who are in on the ruse. They salute your lieutenant with a theatrical flourish, playing their part in the deception. You enter a nearby German town that sits in a precarious state between liberation and occupation. Some buildings are heaps of rubble, while others stand remarkably untouched. Grey-faced civilians watch your Jeep pass, their expressions a mixture of fear, resentment, and utter weariness. You are acutely aware that any one of them could be a stay behind, an informant left in place by the retreating German army. Your every move is being scrutinized. You are not just a soldier in a Jeep. You are a piece of living, breathing disinformation. This is a far cry from the loud, boisterous advance of an army like General Patton's Third Army, which announced its presence with overwhelming force. Your mission is the opposite. You are a whisper, a carefully planted seed of misinformation. A slight smile crosses your lips as you think of what Patton would make of this, a war fought with actors and sewing kits. Your lieutenant directs you to a small guest house that is still serving a weak ersatz coffee to locals and the occasional GI. You park the Jeep conspicuously. You and your companions get out, stretching and talking a little too loudly.
This is a real mess.
The lieutenant stumbles slightly, selling his role.
The major always
Inside,
does
the
this.
air is thick with the smell of stale
Not
smoke
so loud.
and boiled cabbage. A few old men sit at a table, watching you over their cups. You order coffee in broken German, another small performance. Then, as instructed, your group begins its scripted conversation. The major complains about how his men are being held back, eager to get across the Rhine. Another man mentions the arrival of new bridging equipment. It's all a lie, delivered with the studied casualness of a B-movie. You sit there, sipping the bitter coffee, feeling the weight of the old men's stares. This is the most controversial aspect of your unit's work, the part that is impossible to quantify.
New bridging equipment.
While the effects of dummy tanks and sonic deception can be seen in aerial photos and intercepted communications, the impact of this human-level theatrics is lost to the fog of war. Did that old man by the window understand English? Was the woman who served you your coffee listening? And if so, would she pass on what she heard? Historians will forever be unable to trace the path of these planted rumors. There is no document in a German archive that reads, Agent X9 overheard a drunken American major confirm the 79th Division is preparing to cross at Viersen. The success of your mission is entirely a matter of faith in the enemy's intelligence-gathering capabilities. You are gambling that their network is both active and easily fooled. The sheer audacity of it is what makes it so potent. The Germans are expecting subterfuge, but this is a double bluff. You are hiding in plain sight, presenting a caricature of an American soldier that is so brazen they might just believe it is too obvious to be a trick. After a suitable amount of time, you leave the Gast house and drive a meandering route through other nearby villages. The goal is simple: be seen. Be seen in the wrong place, wearing the wrong uniform, creating a pattern of activity that reinforces the existence of a massive force that is not actually there. The constant switching of insignia and bumper markings from day to day is designed to create the impression of multiple units moving through the area, a flurry of activity that suggests an imminent, large-scale offensive. You're not just one ghost, you're a whole cast of them. As evening approaches, you head back to your base. You feel a strange sense of relief as you leave the German towns behind and return to the familiar absurdity of your inflatable camp. You strip the 79th Division patch from your sleeve and put your real anonymous one back in your pocket. The performance is over for the day. You are no longer an actor, just a soldier in a very strange army. You look back at the silent rubber tanks, their forms growing indistinct in the twilight. You have added another layer to the grand illusion. You have given the Phantom Army a human face. You have walked among the enemy, spoken your lines, and returned unscathed. But the question hangs in the cold night air, as tangible as the distant rumble of artillery. Did they believe you? The answer will come soon. Under the cover of darkness, on the banks of the river, you have been so carefully guarding with your lies. The night is absolute. There is no moon, and a thick blanket of cloud has swallowed the stars. The cold has intensified, seeping through your wool coat and settling deep into your bones. All the elaborate preparations of the past days, the inflatable tanks, the carefully placed speakers, the theatrical drives into town, have led to this single, silent moment. You are crouched in a shallow foxhole, the damp earth pressing against you. The air tastes of metal and wet soil. All you can do is wait. The silence itself is a weapon, a drawn-out breath before the plunge. Somewhere to the north, under the same suffocating darkness, thousands of men from the 9th Army are moving toward the Rhine, their boats and amphibious vehicles poised to enter the frigid water. They are the reality. You are the shadow. A quiet crackle comes over the field radio beside your commanding officer. It's a single, coded word, the signal. The time has come. The officer gives a sharp, low command, and across the valley, the performance begins. It is not a gradual swell. It is an explosion of sound. A switch is thrown, and your quiet, empty valley erupts into the auditory chaos of a full-scale amphibious assault. Every speaker, every amplifier is pushed to its maximum. The recordings of engineering battalions you heard being tested now roar to life. A symphony of pontoon boats hitting water, of heavy equipment revving, of shouted orders echoing with manufactured panic and urgency. This is not the subtle hum of a resting army. This is the deafening clamor of an army launching itself across a river. The sound is a physical force. It presses in on you, vibrating through the ground, making the air feel thick and heavy. Your own ears, even knowing the source is a wire recording, struggle to separate the illusion from reality. The sheer volume is designed to overwhelm, to create a crisis in the German command posts across the river. But the sound is only one part of tonight's grand finale. As the audio assault reaches its crescendo, another team of your comrades begins their own terrifying work. This is the visual element, the flash and bang to accompany the roar. Using a complex system of pyrotechnics and timed flashes, they begin to simulate a massive artillery barrage. Streaks of light arc into the sky, mimicking the launch of shells. Further down,
Was
near your
meinen Sie
dummy
mit
artillery
Viersen?
positions, bright, sharp flashes of light replicate the muzzle blast of the big guns firing in support of the crossing. You are now inside the lie. You are a living component of a multi-sensory deception, a phantom soldier in a phantom attack. You look out over the lip of your foxhole and see the landscape flickering with this artificial lightning. The carefully constructed stage is now fully illuminated in strobing bursts of light. From the German positions on the far bank of the Rhine, it must look and sound like the apocalypse. You can only imagine the frantic reports being relayed to their headquarters. Massive American crossing underway at Viersen. Heavy artillery support, engineers in the water. General Simpson is counting on this. The success of Operation Flashpoint depends entirely on the German commanders focusing their attention and their firepower right here, on you. And then the response comes. It begins with a high, mournful whistle that seems to tear a hole in the night sky. You don't have time to think. You press yourself as flat as you can against the bottom of your foxhole. The whistle ends in a deafening crump, a sound that is not recorded, a sound that is terrifyingly real. The ground heaves, and a shower of dirt and stones rains down on your helmet. The Germans have taken the bait. A German 80mm gun, one of the most feared weapons of the war, has just fired on your ghost army. Another whistle follows, then another. Soon, the air is filled with the sound of incoming shells. The German artillery, so carefully husbanded, is now being unleashed on your empty fields and rubber tanks. A bright flash illuminates the field to your left, followed by the percussive roar of an explosion. In the brief, stark light, you see one of your inflatable Sherman tanks leap into the air, a 32-ton illusion torn apart by a high-explosive shell. There is a strange, almost comical whoosh as the compressed air escapes, the sound of a monster sighing its last breath. You can't help a fleeting, grim smile at the thought of a German artillery crew meticulously calculating range and trajectory to blow up a balloon. They are wasting their finest steel, their deadliest precision, on a trick of light and sound. Each explosion that shakes your foxhole is a testament to your success. Each shell that lands here is one that is not landing on the real soldiers of the Ninth Army as they struggle across the dark waters of the Rhine miles away. The psychological toll is immense. This is the ultimate, little-known truth of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. You are not just operators of a deception. You are also its first and only casualties. You must remain in the target zone, enduring the very fire you have solicited. Your survival depends on the enemy's aim being good, but not too good. You pray they hit the dummy equipment and not the foxholes where the real men are hiding. The controversy of your mission's effectiveness becomes moot in this moment. You are not debating historical impact. You are living inside a storm of high explosive steel. The only metric that matters is the next shell and the one after that. The air fills with the acrid smell of cordite. The symphony of your speakers is now mixed with the genuine percussion of German artillery, a deadly duet playing out across the valley. You are drawing fire, absorbing the enemy's wrath. You are the lightning rod for the entire front. For the men crossing the river to the north, You are a shield made of noise, light, and pure, unadulterated nerve. The silence that follows a barrage is a presence of its own. It is a thick, heavy blanket that smothers the world, broken only by the ringing in your ears and the distant, lonely crackle of a dying fire. You push yourself up, your muscles stiff and aching from hours spent pressed against the cold earth of the foxhole. Dawn is breaking, a smear of bruised purple and grey on the eastern horizon. The air is sharp and carries the chemical tang of burnt cordite, a smell that will cling to your uniform for days. You climb out of your hole and stand, surveying the scene. Your phantom battlefield is a wreck. Craters, black and raw, pockmark the landscape. The inflatable Sherman you saw destroyed last night is now a sad, shredded heap of rubber and canvas, its painted-on menace gone, revealed as the empty fraud it always was. Other decoys have been punctured by shrapnel, and they lie deflated and askew, like giant, weary beasts that have finally collapsed.
Roger.
The German gunners were good. They had saturated the area, turning your carefully crafted stage set into a scene of genuine, albeit hollow, destruction. For a moment, you feel a chill that has nothing to do with the morning air. You and your comrades were the only real things in this valley, and you were at the very center of the enemy's kill box. Your survival was a matter of statistics, of the random geometry of high explosives. A quiet order is passed down the line. Pack it up. The performance is over. The curtain has fallen. Now the stagehands must clear the set before the world awakens. There is no cheering, no sense of overt triumph. There is only the quiet, methodical work of making an army disappear. You walk over to a long tom artillery piece that has miraculously survived the night. It still points its rubber barrel defiantly towards the Rhine. You pull out your combat knife, and with a strange sense of finality, you plunge it into the inflatable's flank. The decoy lets out a long, sad, wheezing sigh, the sound of a dying animal as it slowly crumples in on itself. This is the most surreal part of your job. You are now dismantling the very illusion you risked your life to protect. You and your team fold the massive canvas of a dead Sherman tank, treating the 32-ton war machine like a ground sheet after a camping trip. You roll up the deflated gun barrels, heave the speaker horns back onto the trucks, and gather the spools of wire. You are ghosts erasing your own footprints, leaving nothing behind but scarred earth. It is a victory that must be hidden, a success measured by how completely you can vanish. Around mid-morning, a lone dispatch rider arrives on a mud-spattered motorcycle. He hands a message to your commanding officer, who reads it silently.
We did it.
The officer looks up, his face tired, but etched with a deep satisfaction. He gathers the section leaders. The news is passed down in hushed tones, a secret ripple spreading through the unit. Operation Flashpoint was a stunning success. The Ninth Army is across the Rhine. They achieved a near-total tactical surprise. Casualties were, the report says, unbelievably light. The German divisions that should have been there to meet them were instead held in reserve, waiting to counter your phantom invasion. The artillery that should have rained down on the real crossing points spent its fury on your empty fields. This is your moment of victory, and it is utterly silent. There are no parades, no medals, no cheering crowds. Your reward is a piece of paper, a quiet confirmation that your lies saved lives. You look at the faces of the men around you. You see not elation, but a profound, weary relief. You have fought and won a battle that will never appear in any official history. The very name of your unit, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, is designed to be forgotten. This is the strange, almost melancholy contract you have signed. The more successful you are, the less evidence there will be that you were ever here at all. You are fighting for a future that will have no memory of you. This is the little-known burden of the Ghost Army. Historians will not uncover the full declassified story of your exploits until 1996, more than half a century after you fold up your last rubber tank. For the rest of your life, when someone asks what you did in the war, you will have to lie. The trucks are loaded. The valley floor is once again just an empty, muddy field, albeit one now pocked with the fresh wounds of an artillery barrage. It looks like a battle was fought here, which in a way is the final, lingering truth of your deception. You climb into the back of a canvas-topped truck, the engine rumbling to life. As the convoy begins to move, you look back one last time. You see nothing. No tanks, no guns, no men. The Phantom Army has vanished as quickly as it appeared. You are moving on, deeper into Germany, to another river, another town, another lie, waiting to be told. You are a whisper in the great, roaring storm of the war, a fading echo on a silent battlefield. The story of the Ghost Army is a quiet one, a narrative written in the margins of history with invisible ink. Their victories were measured not by the ground they took, but by the lives they saved through elaborate, dangerous artistry. These soldiers, a unique assembly of creators and thinkers, waged a cerebral war, turning the enemy's own assumptions and fears into a weapon against them. They occupied a strange space between the front lines and the shadows, enduring real danger to project a fictional threat. Their success predicated on their ability to vanish without a trace. Their legacy is not carved in stone monuments or recorded in triumphant chronicles, but rather it exists in the quiet acknowledgement that sometimes the most powerful weapon is not a bayonet of sharpened steel, but a carefully constructed lie that allows others to live. The echoes of their phantom tanks and artillery have long since faded from the valleys of Europe, but the ingenuity of their silent, uncelebrated service remains a profound and enduring testament to the power of imagination in the crucible of war.